Hello there. Vintage Story advertises itself as an uncompromising wilderness survival sandbox game that prides itself on its challenging gameplay and high degree of realism. Today I will go over its chemistry and chemistry adjacent mechanics and put my degree to a good use by rating them by how realistic they are and suggesting how they could be improved. First, a disclaimer. I am aware that the game is still in open beta and that its goal is not to be 100% true to life. And while I am guaranteed to nitpick everything, I am already more than satisfied with it and I highly recommend it to everyone with time to burn. Should any of the devs see this, the game feels like a work of love and I hope creating it feels as satisfying as playing it. Now, let's move to the game mechanics. In rough order, you as a player will be encountering them. Cooking. We generally don't think about chemistry when we're cooking, yet cooking can be perfectly summarized as a number of heat-driven reactions that change the chemical composition of the food to help with more efficient digestion. In-game, this is reflected by cooked meals having much higher satiety than its raw ingredients. While this has yet to be implemented in the game, cooking the food also makes it much safer for consumption because it kills the germs. In-game, cooking is both essential to not starve to death and an art form in itself. There are thousands of different food items that can be made because the game allows you to use a wide number of ingredients and their combinations. Aside for a sharper penalty for eating partially spoiled food, I believe the devs are on the right path. If you wish for more, download Culinary Artillery. Next important early game mechanic is preserving animal hides by treating them with fat and drying them for 2 in-game days. It is meant to emulate the way raw hides were processed in the Stone Age. It is close enough. In real life, they also smoked the hides and treated them with urine and a mix of animal brains and fat. This kind of tanning works by forming an emulsion of oils that soaks into the hide and penetrates between the collagen fibers. This prevents them from collapsing on each other when the hide dries, so the leather stays flexible. Smoking the hide stabilizes it and helps to stop the water from penetrating back between the fibers and reversing the process. Copper smelting is a necessary part of progression and how you escape the Stone Age. Melting and casting the ridiculously common native copper is a physics-only affair. Processing malachite, however, is a reduction of hydrated copper carbonate with charcoal. This is not reflected in the game, which treats most metal ores like nuggets of pure metal that only need to be melted down. To be more immersive, smelting copper, zinc, bismuth, tin, nickel and lead ores should require charcoal be mixed crushed ground ores in a crucible, similarly to what the devs had already implemented for iron. Metal tools unlock a number of useful mechanics. Being able to construct barrels allows the player to make leather by the method that was used in the Middle Ages. First, the raw hide is soaked in lye or borax solution and then scraped to remove the hair. Afterwards, it is spent by being immersed in increasingly stronger tannin solutions. The tannin solutions are prepared by soaking oak or acacia logs in water. The in-game process is very close to the real-life method, only that the real-life method takes up to a year to get the end product. So-called vegetable tanning works by using the tannins to form cross-links between the collagen fibers. This permanently changes their structure. Barrels also allow the player to make alcoholic drinks by fermenting fruit juice, honey, or grains of their choice. Fermenting fruit juice increases its longevity and the cost of nutrition value, which makes sense because sugars are converted to alcohol. Fermentation is a type of anaerobic metabolism that can be carried out by a quarter of all bacteria and archaea. For ethanol production, yeast, which is a type of fungus, is used. Explained simply, when yeast has no oxygen, it gets its energy by turning sugars into alcohol and CO2. In-game and in real life, the alcohol can then be distilled to further concentrate it, which is very immersive, 10 out of 10. I only ask that the mead recipe be changed to include water, because pure honey cannot ferment until its water content reaches at least 25%, or ideally much more. I would also ask that a way to make Sumerian beer by fermenting grain in clay pots be added, purely for role-playing reasons. The next step in technological progression is bronze. It is made by alloying copper with other metals. It is stronger because mixing atoms of different size makes plastic deformation much harder. After bronze comes iron. Its production in Vintage Story is much more involved than just smelting the ore. It starts by mining the ore. It is often much harder to find than copper, which is an exact opposite of how it is most of the time in real life. But there is nothing wrong with little game balancing. Once you get the ore, you crush it and place it into a bloomery with a lot of charcoal. After it is ignited, it burns for some time, after which the bloomery must be broken to extract the bloom. The bloom is iron mixed with glass-like slag. To turn it into a useful ingot, it must be hammered to consolidate and squeeze out the slag. This is a very good approximation of the oldest method of smelting iron from its oxides. The main reaction behind it is a reduction of iron by hot carbon monoxide. Only suggestion I have is that a mechanic of shoveling in additional ore and charcoal into a lead bloomery be added, because this is how they were historically operated. Iron can be turned into steel with the use of a cementation furnace, which is one of the historic ways to introduce carbon in the iron structure in a controlled manner. Too much carbon makes iron unsuitable for forging, while too little makes it too soft. Another material in Vintage Story that can be produced in a bloomery is glass. There is clear glass made by smelting quartz and colored glass made by smelting other minerals. While still quite realistic, this is nowhere near as accurate as the iron and steelmaking processes. While glass from pure quartz exists, producing fused silica demands temperatures well in excess of what the bloomery can reach. Same holds for smelting olivine. Much more immersive and easily achievable with a tech level at hand, are soda lime glass, potash lime glass, and lead glass, while all the components for potash lime glass and lead glass are already in the game. Implementing those recipes would also demand a mechanic of extracting soda from marsh plants and the preparation of potash from wood because its natural deposits are very rare. Next nifty, immersive bit of chemistry the Nego Studios have blessed us with is a realistic textile and leather dyeing process. Unlike in the other block game, you first have to use a mordant. For people not into the textile production, mordant is a stabilizer that binds to the dye and makes it insoluble in water. I know of no other crafting game that included it. The dye recipes are also very realistic and mostly true to history. Now, something I had actually made on this channel: sulfuric acid, a precursor that allows you to make the best leather in the game. You make the sulfuric acid by boiling sulfur and saltpeter in water. While the reagents are correct, the process is dead wrong. I can tell the inspiration was the bell process, one of the oldest ways of making what was then known as oil of vitriol. Unlike the in-game process, it makes the acid by burning sulfur mixed with potassium nitrate and reacting the sulfur trioxide and dioxide with steam. Traditionally carried out underneath a glass bell, hence the name, it later evolved into a chamber process that carries out the same reactions in a lead-lined chamber. I believe this process could be implemented in the game without much complication. Now, chromium tanning, the modern method of making leather. Just to start, the player must first mine chromite, construct a pulverizer, and dissolve the powdered chromite in sulfuric acid to make chromium sulfate. Then you must cook scraped hides in the sulfate and treat them with beeswax to seal them. Leather made this way can be used to make the largest backpacks and saddlebags in the game. They considerably increase your carrying capacity and are a must-have for late game. In real life, most leather is made with this process. The hides are first treated to remove the hair and unwanted proteins. Like in the traditional process, lime water is used. Then, low pH and enzymes are used to clean and soften the hides. They are then immersed into acidic solution of chromium 3+ ions that soak into the hide. After chromium has permeated the hide, pH is raised so that chromium ions form a hydroxyl complex that is insoluble in water and more strongly binds to the collagen. Leather made this way is softer and more water resistant, and it dyes more evenly. The process is also much faster and cost effective. The only downsides are that chromium allergy is a thing, even if it is very rare, and the runoff from improperly managed tanneries pollutes the environment. Now, last but absolutely not the least, blasting powder. In-game, the recipe is 4 parts saltpeter that can be mined in the caves, 2 parts sulfur, and 1 part black coal. Ingredients must be ground before mixing them. Blasting powder can be used to make bombs used for mining and combat. Now we all know where this is going. Swap the sulfur and coal, replace coal with charcoal, and add in some more saltpeter, and you have yourself some ancient Chinese medicine. Just combining the powders won't do. Black powder made this way is very weak. If you wish to explore the historical process in a safe environment of Vintage Story, download Maltese Firearms. It is a very good, historically and chemically accurate mod that is vanilla as far as I'm concerned. For those of you who are still here, thank you for watching. I have never done this type of a video before. If you prefer my usual content, don't worry, it is not going anywhere, and if you are new, do check my other videos. Thank you for watching, like, subscribe, and see you next time.